In terms of fantasy series this year, we have been very lucky, and one of the shows contributing to that good fantasy feeling again is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, where we follow the tales of Sir Duncan and Little Egg. I just got done watching episode 3 of this 6-episode season, so I thought since it's the halfway point, I would finally talk about it and give my thoughts. So that's what we're going to do in this video. But before we do that, this is what I do and this is what I talk about. One of the genres that I'm most passionate about, whether it comes to books or movies or series, is the fantasy genre. And one of the worlds that I love the most is Game of Thrones. That is just a glimpse of what I talk about on my channel, is Game of Thrones, fantasy series, but I also talk about all sorts of movies, new and old. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please check out my channel and see if there's anything else you like. Whether it be a like, subscription, anything like that helps me out immensely. And any sort of support that you show me is greatly appreciated. So thank you. Now, when it comes to A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, this is based off of the short story novellas that George R.R. Martin wrote back in the day. It follows the tales of Sir Duncan and Egg. They talk about this a little bit in Game of Thrones, the actual series, the actual books, and now we're finally getting to see that on screen. And just a fair warning, there may be spoilers in this, even though the main series kind of spoils it a little bit, spoils the big reveal. You know who Little Egg is if you've paid attention, if you know the history of Game of Thrones, of A Song of Ice and Fire. You know the story, you know who Egg actually is, but it's only in episode 3 where we get that big reveal. So if you don't want to know anything about spoilers, go ahead and turn away, watch episode 3, and then you can come back to this. But in terms of this show so far, I am loving it. We are halfway through. I had to look that up. There's only 6 episodes, each episode 30 minutes to 40 minutes long, which is perfect in my opinion for a show like this. We have it's like I said, it's based off of novellas, short stories basically. So these, if I'm correct, are like 80 pages long. Not even. And this show so far is kind of showing that perfectly. It's showing it perfectly. It's not as extravagant as the main Game of Thrones series or even House of the Dragon. This is much smaller, more down to earth. We follow a hedge knight, basically. It gives us such a cool perspective of just an everyday guy who's trying to do his best in the position he's in. The stakes aren't as high as everything else that we've seen. The stakes are not as high. It's a nameless, faceless knight. We don't even know if he's an actual knight. We don't know that. Like, he says that the knight he was serving under actually knighted him, but we don't know. Maybe so, because like Duncan is honorable. I don't imagine that he would be lying about him being named a knight or whatever, but we don't know. So yeah, unique perspective. And one thing that I am not a super huge fan of a lot of the characters or just a lot of the story in general with Game of Thrones is that the good, the noble characters of the show, 90% of the time, it ends horribly for them. It ends horribly for them, and it seems like a very nihilistic view in terms of storytelling, in terms of the characters, the story that George R.R. Martin is presenting. That's just who he is. That's just who he is as an author. It's been like that throughout his entire series, but I more so love the good and love seeing good win. That's why I love Lord of the Rings so much, like that Aragorn character, how he's noble, how he's kind, how he's a healer, a fighter, a leader, a king, all of this, and it turns out well for him in the end, despite all the struggle he's been through, despite all the crap that he had to fight through and overcome. He came out on top. That doesn't happen a lot in Game of Thrones. Hopefully it happens with our guy Sir Duncan. Now, I do not enjoy how they kind of make him look stupid throughout the show, but in the end, I can forgive that. He's a bigger guy, and that is usually a stereotype of the big jocks, of like big stupid guy. That's who Duncan is. And then his little companion Egg, who follows him to this tournament. So the highest stakes of this so far is that he wants to join a tournament. He tries to get into the tournament, and a lot of the first couple episodes of him trying to get someone to vouch for him. Now, I said this show is more down to earth, more like non-high stakes, but we still get some of the characters that we know and love, some of the families, the houses that we know and love, like Baratheon, like Targaryen, and then a bunch of other like named houses, that if you are a huge fan of Game of Thrones will be familiar to you. But one of the greatest characters that are a standout character in this show is the Baratheon, not king, but like Lord, Prince, whatever. What's his name? They call him the Laughing Storm, but I don't know his actual name. Yes, that's right. Lionel Baratheon. They don't show him. Here he is. Lionel Baratheon. They call him the Laughing Storm. He is a great character, a complex character. He doesn't care. He's drunk half the show, but he's charming in his own way. I could make a whole video on him by himself, but that's just like an example of, obviously, Baratheon, a name that we know. Future king of Westeros, and this was their ancestor. Like, so much cool stuff. And then obviously the Targaryens in it. Is this him too? Wow, that's a cool picture. That is awesome. I always love how they got the antlers going. It's crazy. But yeah, so you get some familiar faces, some familiar houses in this show, but it's still down to earth. They are in a tournament in the middle of nowhere, basically. And it's just so like small. Another character I really, really liked is the older brother of the Targaryen lords. So there's Egg's dad, all these princes and cousins and stuff. And then there's the next guy, the heir of the king. So the next in line, like one of the fathers of that group of Targaryens that came. I love how they did that. Like, just the whole spread of Targaryens that they have there, the perfect mix of like, wow, they're really likable, and then wow, I hate their guts. And that's kind of what you get with Targaryens. They're either crazy or they're, not so bad. They're pretty good leaders. The one being the heir, the next in line, and how he was the one to remember Dunk's knight, that Dunk squired under. Because he remembers everything. That is part of his character, is to remember faces, to remember names, to remember events, to give people the respect of remembering who they are. I thought that was cool. I thought that was great. And obviously Dunk is an awesome character. Egg is an awesome character. Dunk, I could talk about. I might have to make a whole video on him because of just how honorable and the way he fights. Especially in this last episode when he goes up against the dickhead Targaryen. I don't even know his name. I'll call him Dickhead. But he is just an ass. He's an ass. And that's the point of him, obviously. Let's get a picture of him. Here he is. Aerion Targaryen. Hey, that rhymes. This guy, dude, I will say, he looked really, really cool. Oh, this is who I was talking about earlier. The one who remembers everyone. He was cool. Why does he have brown hair? In Light of the Seven Kingdoms, the brown-haired Targaryen prince explained. I don't get it. But yes, Aerion Targaryen looked crazy this last episode. The gist of what he looked like in a drawing, looking like a dragon, but they made this live action crazily good. He was a dick. I hated him. He killed a horse. And you even get that because little Egg is like under his breath when he's cheering for the other guy who's going up against Aerion in the joust. He's saying, kill him, kill him, kill him. And that's his brother. Then we get to see more of Aerion abusing his power. Dude, this episode 3 was just so great because he was abusing his power. He was torturing the one puppet girl for his entertainment, just to be a dick. Like, literally ripped her finger off, basically. And then that awakened the fire in Sir Duncan. And I was like, yes. I was like, beat him up. And then he punched him. I was like, yes. And then he was getting held down by 3 guys, and he was still fighting them off. They had to have 5 guys hold him down. Oh, man, this is so good so far. Like, this is what fantasy is about, man. It's short, it's sweet, but we get so cool of a show throughout this whole thing. The costumes, the environment, the vibes of it, the characters of it. And it's just like, bam, bam, bam. It's not dragged out. It's 30-minute episodes. It's great. It's awesome. And like there's tension and stuff is happening, even though it's such a short story. I don't know how much they've added to the actual novella, but the way they're doing it is great so far. I am a huge fan of this. I could do without the intro of episode 2. If you know, you know. I don't need to see this dude's massive freaking like, what was that? There's parts that we could have done without, but overall, this is what fantasy is supposed to be like. This is what fantasy is supposed to be like. Not girl boss, not lesbian shit, not the Wheel of Moraine over on Amazon, or the Rings of Power on Amazon as well, or like Netflix The Witcher, where all they care about is woke crap getting shoved into their show. No, like this is what I want when I'm watching fantasy, when I'm watching Game of Thrones, when I'm watching a show about medieval times, man. Down and dirty, gritty. Oh, man. There's so much I love about this. I loved Egg's training scene when he was like encouraging the horse. There's just so many good scenes jam-packed into this show. I probably should have been doing an episode-by-episode review because now that I've gotten talking about this, it's like I'm just skimming the surface. But even so, there's like things popping up in my brain where I'm like, oh, then that happened, and that happened, and that happened. And now I think the whole first half leading up has been thrown off because obviously he attacks Aerion Targaryen, and I saw a little intro for the little teaser for the next episode for the latter half of the thing. And it's like, I think everything's getting thrown off course, obviously, because he attacked a prince. And rightfully so. I was like, yes, get him, get him, get him. And it's so annoying because he can't. Because then you got these guards who hold him down. And it's like, God, man. And then you get little Aegon revealing who he is to save this dude that he's known for a couple days now. That just shows you the duality of the Targaryen house. It's crazy. It's awesome. I'm so glad this show came out. Like, this is what I have missed for years and years, you know? Like, we've gotten such crap fantasy lately. This is great fantasy. It's I can't stop complimenting it. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm like, part of me is like super happy that right now there's this, and there's also the Pendragon cycle, which is really good actually for the low budget that it is. It's a very entertaining and very cool show, especially in that fantasy genre. We've got both of those in the same month at the same time when it's been a drought for like years of good fantasy, where we've just been served up piles and piles of shit in this genre. And now 2026, January and February, it's like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Oh, it's great. I'm having such a blast. And every time I'm excited to watch this. It's not a drag. It should never be a drag to watch a show. You shouldn't have to force yourself to watch a show. And it's like, man, this needs to get more praise because we need more stuff like this. Not the girl boss crap, not the woke crap, not the lesbian, gay, trans. We don't need any of that. We need this. We need Dunk. We need Egg. We need this horse. We need cool stuff, man. Fights, battles, nitty gritty, the tension, politics. There's not a whole ton of politics in this, but still you get obviously the Targaryens, the princes and the kings, the heirs. Oh, it's so good. And I'm ready for the second half of this. It's going to be great. So as that's coming out, maybe I'll do an episode review on each of those. This one, I just wanted to do sort of my overview, sort of my thoughts for this. Speaking of which, let's check out Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna rate it 8 out of 10. 8.5. maybe 9 out of 10. I'm really liking this. The more I think about it, the more I like it. So I say 8.5 to 9 out of 10 for these first couple episodes, man. It's like, oh, it's so good. Maybe my scales are just off because we've had such terrible stuff lately, but I'm really enjoying it. Let's see what other people have to say. Wow. This is a rare thing where I'm agreeing with the critics more so than the people. That seems harsh, man. That seems real harsh. Maybe because people are expecting a grand Game of Thrones show as opposed to the short story style, the novella style of this. I'm having a blast. Where are these reviews? Anyways, I'm excited for this. I am a huge fan of this. I'm loving it so far, apart from some parts, which could have been left out. I hope things work out for Dunk. You know, they probably won't because it's George R. R. Martin and he's a cynical old man. But, I don't know, maybe. And this is me speaking of not reading the novellas, so I don't know how this story ends. But, you know, maybe after watching all this, I will go back and read those. We shall see. Anyways, that was my review and my yap sesh about episodes 1 through 3 on the new series, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I'm loving it so far, and I can't wait to see what comes next. That being said, what do you guys think? Give me all your thoughts down in the comments. I love reading through those. Whether it be good or bad, do you think this is good? Do you think not enough is happening? Let me know down in the comments, and I'd be happy to read those. Other than that, that's about it. That's all I really had to talk about in this video. It went on way longer than I thought it would. Things just kept popping up in my brain that I wanted to talk about. But that's my review for it. If you got this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, consider giving a like, consider a subscription, anything like that. It helps a lot. All right, that's it. That's all I have to say about this new Game of Thrones show. So I will let you get on with the rest of your day. Make sure to eat your veggies, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.